Alright, today I'm going to be winterizing a 2019 Sea-Doo GTX Limited 300, and this process should hold true to just about all the supercharged engines out there that Sea-Doo makes. So check your book, and again, I'm going to go buy the book. Might not be using all the products that Sea-Doo recommends, but this is just my way of doing it. And you don't need any specialty tools per se, but you will need some sprays and stuff. And while again it's not a special tool, you will need a way to hook your, well, another special tool you need is an air compressor. Even though, like I say, you don't count that as special, but you'll need an air compressor and some way to connect your air compressor to your flush system. I came up with this. It's just a brass, I don't know, quick connector, I guess. I tried to tap it, but there really wasn't enough material to tap. It was almost the exact same size as the thread, so it ended up just kind of reaming it out. So I basically just forced the fitting to the air hose, just forced it in there. It's got a good seal, but and I'm going to keep this to use in the future. And because this is brass going into plastic on your ski, be really careful that you do not cross thread this. And I recommend you go ahead and put a little rubber washer up in there prior to putting this in, just to get a good seal without really having to tighten it down. Now, as for a rust protection and corrosion protection, I prefer fluid film. It's lanolin based, it's non-toxic and all that stuff. I just prefer this over some of the other stuff that's out there. You're going to need a fuel stabilizer, and I highly recommend a fogging oil for your cylinders. And Sea-Doo recommends it too. This is just the stable brand. Same with the the fuel stabilizer. And with the fuel stabilizer, when it gets close to the end of the season, I almost recommend, well, of course they recommend you use fuel stabilizer all the time, but I recommend you go ahead and start using it near the end of the season. That way it's in your engine as well as the tank. When you get done, you can top the tank off, and you already know that the fuel stabilizer is in the fuel lines and in the injectors and all that stuff. So just a little tip there. And I'm not going to cover putting that in. I've already done it. You do fill the tank full and use stabilizer with it. That's like step one. So consider that already covered. Step one, get fuel stabilizer, get it in your tank, fill your tank all the way up. That's to prevent condensation in your fuel tank. So remember to do that. That's step one. Now let's move on to the ski. Okay, step number two in the Sea-Doo owner's manual is to inspect the jet pump, and then it says take it to a dealership. Well, I'm not actually going to inspect the jet pump, but I will do the next step, which is getting the rust preventer and everything on it. And to do that, you need to get your gate up. I covered this in another video, but I'll do it again. Anyway, just wake the ski up, pull back the reverse, and on the dash up there, you probably can't see it, but it says press OK to override. So you press OK. Now it's an override. Now you just press your VTS button up until it stops making noise, and that will raise your reverse gate so you can actually see inside the pump. Alright, so I'm looking inside the jet pump at the impeller, and it's going to be hard to see, but the yellow part is the wear ring. Again, it's supposed to have 7/1000th of an inch, and this one's pretty new. To truly inspect this right, you would have to take the entire housing off. Let me back out here, which would involve taking everything off back here. As you can see, my gate, reverse gate's up, just so you can see everything in the future. Just to replace the wear ring, the plastic one, with the stainless one, so I won't ever have to replace it again. So now what I would do, I'm going to take my corrosive metal protectant, and spray absolutely everything down back here. And once I get done spraying this, I am going to drop the gate down and spray all the linkage and everything on the reverse gate as well. So let me do that. So I'm using the little extension here on it, and I mean really get back in, get everything, every piece of every exposed metal. The ride plate, I even did underneath the ride plate, down in here, over here. You're not gonna, with this stuff, you're not gonna really put too much of it. So now I've got it all coated, and this stuff will kind of like foam up and then just spread out, and does a great job of protecting metal. So I'm gonna lower the gate back down. Right, with the gate down, now you can really get the just mist down everything with the fluid film or whatever protectant you choose. This is just my preference. There's a bunch of different stuff on the market. I just like this. So coat everything back here, and that pretty much covers the pump. Okay, the next thing you're going to need to do is to go ahead and remove the swim deck. That is 13 T15 bolts. The two up here at the front though have a 10mm nut on them. I'm just going to tell you, and a washer. I'm going to tell you right now, you might as well, next time you're at the hardware store, pick you up some matching stainless steel nut and washers and just have them. I've already dropped one down in there before even doing this, but it's a T15 Torex to take these up, and you're going to need a 10mm under here. And if you're really careful, you can get these out. Huh. Now that's supposed to have been a stainless steel, and it appears to be corroding, so that is not stainless steel. So I'm going to have to get a new one, stainless, and put back in there. And let me get the other side. Alright, getting them off is not too bad. It's the getting them on that's kind of a pain. Alright, we'll lift this off. And this will expose the rest of the engine. Alright, for whatever reason, the next step is to check your intercooler for condensation, which I don't really understand it, but anyway, removing this hose goes between your intercooler and your supercharger. Now, they do tell you to mark it, so I do have a little, I don't know, it's hard to see, but it's where the numbers are on this hose. I put a black line, and then I have another line on my intercooler to mark exactly where this hose goes back. So I did look in here, and there's no condensation. We're good to go. One note though, if you watch my video on flushing these things, I said I did not flush my bilge out every time because I didn't get salt water in it ever. And what I have found now that I've removed, I haven't been removing this back deck, but now that I have, the front of the engine always looked great, but now that I see back here, apparently, and my O-ring was messed up back here for the pylon, I got some salt water that came in through the pylon hole and just looks like sprayed back here a little bit. No evidence of water back here. Anytime I took the plugs out and checked, there was never any water in here. So I'm thinking it just got some little bit, and I'm seeing signs of salt water being on some of this stuff. So I'm going to end up going ahead and rinsing all this out with salt away and letting it dry in the end of this here. But anyway, all right. Why you got all this loose, this is not in the book, but I would say do this. Check all your hoses, all your hose clamps. Number one reason for these things sinking is usually a hose coming off somewhere. So there's tons of hoses, tons of hose clamps. Just check every one that you can get to and make sure they're tight. So I'm going to put this back together, check all my hose clamps, and we'll move on. Alright, next step is to make sure we blow all the water out of the exhaust system. So in order to do that, the little fitting that I showed you earlier that I used, made out of a little brass quick disconnect. Again, if you're going to use brass, be very careful about cross-threading this, and put a little rubber washer behind it. So I think I got a pretty good seal. Set your air compressor to 55 psi. Do not go over 55 psi. Probably blow something loose. So let's hook it up, and it should blow any remaining water out. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah. Wow. A lot more water in there than I thought would be. Man, I thought there would only be a little bit. That's pretty amazing. So I'm gonna let this keep running. That's my compressor kicking on. I'm gonna let this keep going until I'm not getting any water out of here. Alright, next step is to we're going to need to remove the ignition coils and spark plugs to fog the engine. So it's a T15 RXT-X again. Careful, this is a wire here, so don't let it spin. And also, be careful not to drop these, because it's going to be very difficult to retrieve it. It's just that. And you have to remove this wire, and there's a little button here to depress, and it is not all that easy. There we go. Now just take hold of just a little bit of a twist and pull it straight out. There you go. Okay, in editing the video, I realized I left out removing the plugs. To do that, you need two things: an extension and a 5/8 inch spark plug socket. And do yourself a favor, get a spark plug socket so it's got the little rubber thing in there that locks on to the spark plug and will lift it out without you having to try to fish it out. So, next thing will be to go ahead and fog the engine. This is the stable fogging oil. Use your extension. It's going to be a little hard to get it right down in there, but tilting the can. But anyway, do about 3 to 5 seconds spray into each cylinder. Yeah, it's not. I almost need a 90 on this thing. Alright, now I recommend you put a towel over this, because what we're going to do is crank the engine over to spread that out, and it's going to shoot it everywhere. So, and to do that, obviously you're going to need to put the key in, but when you start it, hold the throttle, full throttle. That'll keep it from even trying to start. So here we go. And I got a weak battery. That's why it sounded a little weak, but that worked out good. Yours will probably turn over a lot faster and spray oil. Mine didn't, but that does a good job of spreading it out evenly inside the cylinders. Alright, if you want, you can replace your spark plugs now, but I don't recommend it. You've got all that fogging oil in your cylinders that's going to kind of foul them right at the beginning of the season, so I'm going to probably run mine on this same oil and these spark plugs for one run, bring it in, and change them all right then. But anyway, you need to put a little bit of anti-seize on your plug, and then hand tighten it just to make sure you don't cross it all the way down. And then when it hits bottom, it needs to be torqued to about 159 inch-pounds. Alright, now we just need to put the coils back on and move on to the next. Alright, got all the coils and everything put back. They ought to be tightened to about 80 inch-pounds. Put my little plastic cover back on here. That's pretty much it, except for the part I am going to use salt away, rinse all of this out back here. Again, I guess I got a little bit of salt water through the pylon opening here in the deck, and I did not know it because I didn't take the big deck off but a couple times this season. Now I wish I had. In the future I will do more rinsing back here. But anyway, I'm going to rinse that, let it dry overnight, and then I'm going to coat everything back here metal with the fluid film to protect it. I'm also going to coat everything up here as well. It's already got a pretty good, it's got a little coat on it already. I lightly misted it at the beginning of the season. That's, you know, and then obviously I'll be putting the deck back on here, and you are supposed to store it with the seat off. I'm just going to prop my seat open. That's to prevent condensation. Also, if you have the Fish Pro, there's another step with the transducer that you need to look at. I can't cover that because I don't have it. Other than that, you're pretty much set until next season. Next season, I'm going to take it out and probably do a little short run with it, burn all the oil off that's in the cylinders, and then I'll come back and do the oil change, spark plug change, and all that, and get it ready for next summer. Anyway, I hope this helps you get your ski ready for winter. And you know, if there's nothing else that you do other than if there's just nothing that you do, if you're in a place where the temperatures are going to drop below freezing, get an air compressor or something and blow the water out of your intercooler and your exhaust. If you don't, there's a good chance you're going to break that. So if that's the least thing that you do, then do that. Alright, hope this helps you out. I almost forgot. If you live in an area, like I said, it's going to get below freezing, you're probably going to want to go ahead and disconnect and remove your battery, which I'm going to do. And I'm going to be keeping it inside, and I will have it on a smart charger or trickle charger or whatever, just to maintain it. Almost forgot.